question that comes up, can we afford to spend $3 trillion a year with the way that debt is already surging all around the globe? The G20 is the primary venue for economic and financial cooperation within the world. Basically, G20 is how the world gets things done. Janet Yellen, the U.S. Treasury Secretary, has made comments this past week that we need $3 trillion annually in order to fight climate change. Now, these comments come as the United States national debt has just reached $35 trillion for the first time in history. Now, climate change is a real issue. It causes a lot of economic damage, hundreds of billions every single year. But is $3 trillion even possible with the way that the national debt is surging? Now, before we get started, let me just say that if you like content like this, leave a comment down below letting me know what you think. Make sure you subscribe for more content like this and hit that thumbs up button for me. Now, these comments from Yellen come after a G20 meeting in Brazil. Now, the G20 is an intergovernmental forum that includes 19 sovereign countries, the European Union and the African Union, so 21 members. Now, these are the most largest economies in the world. These countries account for about 80% of gross world production, 75% of international trade, and 2/3 of the world's population, and 60% of the world's land area. So as we can see, this is a very big collection of a lot of the world's population. The G20 is the primary venue for economic and financial cooperation within the world. Basically, G20 is how the world gets things done. Now, climate change or natural disasters, natural catastrophes, it is a big issue all around the globe. Every single year, hundreds of billions of dollars are lost in economic damage to these disasters, not to mention the loss of life, the loss of property and special goods that is honestly more important than the actual money. You got to think sometimes hurricanes and different things hit. Businesses get put out of business for months. So much money is lost there. The people that worked at those businesses are also out of work. Money is lost there. Financial hardships take place. Water and different things come into people's houses, or in fires, houses burn down. People are displaced from their homes, and there's a financial aspect, there's a psychological, emotional aspect, and this happens every single year to millions of people all across the globe. It is a real issue, and this is an oversimplification that I am giving you. We're talking about hundreds of billions of dollars in damage. And you know, some of the issue is we have built a lot among coastlines and areas that are prone to fires. We have built within those areas at a rate that maybe wasn't around before. So when we talk about the damages, you know, we have built in areas that are prone to flooding, fires, and other things more so in the last 20 years than we have in the past, which leads to some elevated numbers of damage. But also the natural disasters are getting worse, you know, as far as how much they're taking place and how big and the strength of some of these storms. Those are things that need to be addressed. When you think about natural disasters, and it is never a bad idea to try to address our climate to be good to the planet. And you know, it's different ways that we could do it, and we have to come together and agree on the way to do it, but it is never a bad idea to do so. The issue that it's going to come down to is that $3 trillion in annual money. So where are you going to come up with $3 trillion every single year? Now, the United States national debt already is growing at about $1 trillion every 100 days. And countries all across the world, national debt and things are just surging in order to keep economies afloat. And now, when economies are also growing at astronomical numbers, you can kind of justify, you know, going in debt to keep your economies booming. But right now, we are going into more and more debt just to keep the economies afloat. So where are you going to come up with the $3 trillion? Now, understand, natural disasters and the climate, it's a real thing that we should address. the national debt is a real thing that we should address as well in some meaningful way. Not for the national debt to go to zero, because that's not how the system works, but for it to stop growing at these astronomical numbers, get it more under control. And that's a whole different issue that's very hard to do. So how are you going to add 3 trillion a year on top of that, while you should try to address this issue? And for the people that are in charge, more important than me, they really have to sit down and figure out a way to do this, because both of these things are very important. You don't want to destroy the dollar. You don't want the US dollar to, hyperinflation and all these things to take place, but you have to be careful when it comes to debt. And other countries with their own currencies as well have to be careful, but you should try to address climate change in a meaningful way. And if 3 trillion is the real number to do that, how are you going to make both things happen at the same time? If you like content like this, leave a comment down below letting me know what you think. Make sure you subscribe for more content like this and hit that thumbs up button for me.